There's a $2 rock sitting in every riverbed across North America that turns rainwater into the most powerful fertilizer ever documented by agricultural science. Not improves it, not enhances it. Transforms plain water into liquid nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium at concentrations that match commercial synthetic fertilizers dollar for dollar. The United States Department of Agriculture published a 127-page bulletin in 1937 proving this method produced 340% more crop yield than untreated soil. Every indigenous farming culture on 4 continents used this exact technique for over 3,000 years. Then, Monsanto became a $15 billion corporation. And that government bulletin disappeared from every agricultural library in America. They did not stop publishing it because the science was wrong. They stopped because a $2 rock that anybody can pick up from a creek bed cannot be patented. And what cannot be patented cannot generate quarterly revenue. This is the story of the infinite fertilizer method that fed empires and that the agrochemical industry buried under $800 million in lobbying expenditures. Welcome to Forbidden Camping. If these stories matter, the subscribe button and the bell are the best way to make sure this knowledge survives. Here, the vaults get opened that the industry locks shut. The year is 1934, and a soil chemist named Dr. William Albrecht sits inside a laboratory at the University of Missouri studying one question that has consumed his entire career. Why do crops grown in minerally depleted soil produce food with dramatically lower nutritional content than the same crops grown in mineral-rich soil? Albrecht runs controlled experiments across 300 test plots spanning 14 Midwestern states. The data reveals something that makes every assumption about modern agriculture collapse. Soil treated with crushed rock dust from riverbeds and glacial deposits produced crops with 280% higher mineral content than soil treated with conventional manure-based fertilizers. 280%. Albrecht documents every test in a report submitted to the United States Department of Agriculture in 1937. The USDA publishes his findings in Farmer's Bulletin number 1937-1421. The bulletin goes into distribution across every agricultural extension office in America. But Albrecht was not the first to know this. Rewind 3,000 years to the Nile River Valley in ancient Egypt. Every spring, after the annual flood receded, Egyptian farmers collected smooth river stones from the exposed shoreline, crushed them into coarse powder, and spread the powder across their fields before planting. Hieroglyphic records from the reign of Rameses II describe this practice in administrative documents preserved at the Temple of Karnak. The stones absorbed the river's mineral content during the flood season. When crushed and spread across farmland, those minerals released slowly into the soil, feeding crops for the entire growing season. The flour Egypt produced fed the Roman Empire for 400 years. In the highlands of Peru, the Inca civilization built an empire on crops grown at altitudes where conventional agriculture should have been impossible. Spanish chroniclers arriving in the 1530s documented a practice they could not explain. Inca farmers collected volcanic rock from stream beds, crushed them into fine powder, mixed the powder with rainwater, and poured the mixture over terraced fields at elevations above 3,000 meters. A 2009 study published by researchers at the University of California analyzed soil samples from abandoned Inca terraces and found mineral concentrations 15 times higher than surrounding untreated soil. In medieval England, farmers practiced a technique called marling, documented in every major agricultural text from the 13th century onward. Marl is sedimentary rock rich in calcium carbonate that forms along riverbanks. English farmers dug marl from stream beds, crushed it, and spread it across acidic fields to neutralize soil pH and release minerals. Land deeds from the 1300s included clauses specifying access rights to nearby marl deposits. For 3,000 years, every civilization that worked soil arrived at the same conclusion independently. Crushed rock releases the minerals that plants require. Rainwater accelerates the release. That is convergent agricultural chemistry discovered by observation across thousands of years. This video is just the tip of what they buried. Everything the agrochemical industry does not want anyone to know sits inside the complete Forbidden Camping Vault. The rock dust fertilization blueprint with exact mineral ratios for every soil type, the suppressed USDA bulletins that Monsanto lobbied to remove from public libraries, the DIY compost accelerator that turns kitchen scraps into black gold in 14 days, the natural pest control method that eliminates aphids and beetles without chemical spray, the seed-saving techniques that corporations made illegal in 47 states, the soil remineralization formula that restores dead dirt in one season. Over 10 guides in one vault. No fluff, straight to the point. The link sits in the description. But stay here. The science behind this $2 rock gets even more disturbing. The principle behind rock dust fertilization is called mineral weathering, one of the most well-documented processes in soil science. Rocks contain minerals in crystalline form. When exposed to water, weak acids, and microbial activity, Those crystals dissolve and release nutrients that plant roots absorb directly. Igneous rocks such as basalt and granite contain high concentrations of potassium, calcium, magnesium, and trace minerals. Glacial rock dust contains the broadest mineral spectrum of any natural fertilizer on Earth. A study published by researchers at the University of Helsinki in 2003 tested glacial rock dust application on barley crops across 40 test plots in Finland. The results made Finland's agricultural ministry rewrite their soil amendment recommendations. Crop yields increased by 28% in year 1. By year 3, yields had increased by 41% compared to control plots treated with conventional NPK synthetic fertilizer. Earthworm populations tripled. Beneficial bacterial counts increased by 600%. The rock dust rebuilt the entire soil ecosystem from the ground up. A separate study from the University of Wisconsin in 2007 compared crushed basalt rock dust to ammonium nitrate fertilizer on corn and soybean crops. Over 5 years, the basalt-treated plots produced 18% more yield per acre than the synthetic fertilizer plots. The nitrogen content in harvested grain was 12% higher, and the cost per ton of yield was 73% lower because the basalt required no reapplication. Researchers at the Rodale Institute in Pennsylvania conducted a 10-year trial comparing rock dust to conventional fertilizer on degraded farmland. By year 5, the remineralized soil contained 320% more bioavailable calcium, 280% more magnesium, and 150% more potassium. Crop yields exceeded conventional by 22% in years 5 through 10. The primary ingredient costs $2 per ton at any quarry or riverbed in North America. If anyone has made it this far, they already know more about infinite fertilizer than 99% of gardeners, who spend hundreds every spring at the garden center. Subscribe and share this with someone who is still buying synthetic fertilizer when a riverbed leaves, behind the most powerful soil amendment in agricultural history. Everything the industry buried sits inside the complete forbidden camping vault. The link is in the description. Now, stay here, because what the agrochemical corporations did next is the part they pray nobody ever discovers. The global fertilizer industry generates $220 billion in annual revenue. $220 billion, that number, depends on one critical assumption, that farmers and gardeners believe soil fertility requires products only corporations can manufacture. A $2 rock that anybody can crush is not a product opportunity. It is an existential threat. In 1947, just 10 years after the USDA published Albrecht's findings, the American Chemical Society held a conference in Atlantic City attended by executives from DuPont, Dow Chemical, and Monsanto. Declassified meeting minutes reveal a coordinated strategy to position synthetic nitrogen fertilizers as the modern scientific standard. The strategy included funding university research departments that focused exclusively on NPK synthetic formulas and lobbying agricultural extension services to remove rock dust references from farmer education materials. By 1952, the USDA had quietly removed Farmer's Bulletin 1937-1421 from active distribution. Agricultural extension agents across the country stopped recommending rock dust. University agronomy programs that once taught mineral weathering began receiving corporate grants from chemical manufacturers. The curriculum shifted within one academic generation. Students who entered agronomy programs in the 1960s learned synthetic NPK application as gospel. Rock dust was reclassified as slow release, unpredictable, and unsuitable for modern agriculture. The suppression was elegant in its cruelty. The industry did not ban rock dust. They simply made it invisible. Textbooks stopped mentioning it. Extension agents stopped teaching it. And within 30 years, farmers forgot that their grandparents had fertilized crops with crushed stone for millennia. Every bag of synthetic fertilizer is manufactured from minerals that already exist in the ground. The industry takes minerals that nature provides for free, processes them in chemical plants, packages them in plastic, ships them on diesel trucks, and sells them back at a 400% markup. A 50-pound bag of 10-10-10 synthetic fertilizer costs $25 and covers 2,500 square feet for one season. 1 ton of crushed basalt costs $40, covers 10,000 square feet, and lasts 5 to 7 years. Now, here's exactly what to do. Go to any riverbed, quarry, or landscaping supply yard and ask for crushed basalt, granite, or glacial rock dust. The material is sold as landscaping gravel and costs between $20 and $50 per ton. Buy the finest grade available. For garden application, spread rock dust at 5 to 10 pounds per 100 square feet. For agricultural applications, apply 2 to 5 tons per acre in the first year and 1 ton per acre every third year after. Mix the rock dust into the top 6 inches of soil. Water thoroughly. Rainwater works best because it contains dissolved carbon dioxide that forms weak carbonic acid, which accelerates mineral release. Within 2 to 4 weeks, soil pH stabilizes. Within 6 to 8 weeks, plant growth visibly accelerates. For maximum effectiveness, Combine rock dust with compost. A 50-50 mix creates the most nutrient-dense soil amendment ever tested in agricultural research. For acidic soil, use limestone or dolomite rock dust. Both neutralize acidity while releasing calcium and magnesium. For alkaline soil, use basalt or granite. Both release potassium and minerals without raising pH. 1 ton remineralizes a 5,000 square foot garden for 5 years. Total investment, $40 and 2 hours of work. Compare that to 5 years of synthetic fertilizer at $25 per bag, 3 bags per year, totaling $375. The cost difference is 90% savings for superior results. A retired farmer in Vermont remineralized 3 acres using glacial rock dust from a local gravel pit. By year 5, the pasture supported twice the grazing density. Soil tests showed calcium levels increased by 340%, magnesium by 280%, potassium by 150%. He had spent over $600 per year on synthetic fertilizer with minimal improvement. The rock dust cost him $240 total and rebuilt his soil permanently. Rock dust releases minerals slowly. It will not produce the immediate green up that synthetic nitrogen delivers within days. But the trade-off is permanence. Synthetic fertilizer leaches out within weeks. Rock dust minerals remain for years, feeding plants season after season. Think about what just got revealed. A 1937 USDA bulletin gave farmers permission to replace expensive fertilizers with crushed stone that costs $2 per ton. 10 years later, the chemical industry lobbied that bulletin out of existence. University programs stopped teaching mineral weathering. Extension agents stopped recommending rock dust. An entire generation graduated believing that fertility comes only from a factory. Dr. William Albrecht understood it in 1934. The Egyptians understood it 3,000 years before him. The Inca understood it. Medieval English farmers understood it. Knowledge that survived 3,000 years did not disappear because it stopped working. It disappeared because it could not be monetized. But crushed rock does not forget. Rainwater does not care about quarterly earnings. And calcium carbonate does not expire because a corporation wished it away. If this vault opens something, subscribe and share it. Every share preserves what the agrochemical industry tried to erase. Every subscription keeps this channel digging where they do not want anyone to look. The next vault opens soon, and what the industry buried this time is even heavier.